Hey wood butchers, good evening. It's a bit of a chilly Thursday evening. I got a little bit of free time and I thought I'd take a whack at some problem solving here. So we've got the Laguna 18BX bandsaw. We have our undermount lighting working great. I think I put too many. I may have to take some strips off so I don't over draw on the power supply, but that's okay. The other thing we want to do is look at getting some type of focused lighting in here. So I have these little LED lights. You Canadians out there, Princess Auto, they're on for 15 bucks or whatever. I know 600 lumens or whatever goes by whatever power. Good enough for what I need. They're fully mud, dust, everything sealed. I like them. They're inexpensive. 12 volt, and I found some connectors so I can just plug them into a standard 12 volt power supply. Should work good. But how am I going to mount it on there? So I was looking around some RC sites for some other stuff and doing some soldering and went, wait a minute, I have some soldering arms and let's see if I can buy them. So I got these soldering arms from I think Banggood. And I thought, well, maybe I can use them. So how do I attach them? This is always a big challenge. So I had a brilliant idea. I would, focus, there we go. If you can see the thread over here. Now, according to the website, it's an 12 millimeter, so M12. And I thought, okay, I'll buy some M12 taps. Well, they sent me the coarse ones and I spent a month waiting for them. Now I'm frustrated and I don't want to spend another 8 to 12 or 15 or $20 on another one. So I kind of looked at it carefully, and if you look really closely, if I take this one and knock it off, I can actually put a screw from the top down this way and screw that into a piece of 3/4 inch plywood. So that's going to be my plan. You can already see here, I did the same thing, but the opposite direction. And this is going to go into, this piece of ply I have here to hold the light in. So for right now, I got one attached. Now I have to disarticulate this screwed thread off of here. Actually, I got to take this one. I got to take two off, one and the other one. Put a screw in from this last guy here in and into the plywood, and that should hold, and then I'll snap it all together. I'm going to use 3 of these, sort of arms. Oh, here we go. Here's what I snapped one end off. So again, I'll just get that screw in from this end, put it across. And that should hold nicely. And up here, I have a spot for mounting the factory light. So there's 4 holes. If you look around, they're not threaded. So I'm just going to mount a piece of plywood there. And we're going to use some screws from the inside into the plywood. Hold that tight. Screw in the flexible arms. Well, let's see if this works. I'll keep you updated. Okay, step 1, done. I was able to get a nice little block of wood attached there, nice and secure. It's attached with some pan head screws. Basically, they're for particle board, so they bit in nice, didn't tear up tear through the plywood in the holes. Getting in there was really actually easy because this is one of my favorite tools. These right angle impact driver thingies. Man, sweet. Trying to get that into awkward places and get it going. As I mentioned before, great for putting together some of the internet furniture. Love this thing. Couldn't do a lot of different activities without it. So if you don't have one, pick one up. I don't care what manufacturer you use. Just get one that looks and works similar. Let's work on the next part. All right, guys, so here's the next challenge. A couple things have to come off. Number one, you have to get the end of this thing off. So this part is not too hard. You can basically just take some pliers, carefully pull it off, try and hold the other one. These aren't easy. There we go. Okay, so that's off. The next tough part is the end. So this is a little more challenging. So you're gonna, again, twist it. Be careful. Okay, you got that there. If you're really careful, you can kind of hold one down and just pop that out. Hopefully you saw that. So the next tough part is this single little nugget. Now they do sell special pliers that will pop it out. What I found was if I just, again, have that bent, you can kind of see how that's bent that way, so it's kind of impinging or pinching there. If you get your little pliers in here, keep that bend going, hold the other one down, hopefully, there we go. You can pop that single one right out. Now once you've done that, we're going to need to screw this in, flat part down like that, onto the piece of wood with a screw. Okay, so we can put a screw through there like that. But the problem is trying to put the next one back on. Okay, so here's the next one. Hopefully you can see that. It's not going to fit. The head of that screw will actually keep it from seating in there properly. So, using the vertical belt sander, what you do is you carefully, see the one on the bottom? I just sanded a little bit. Now you have to be a little cautious because there's that crown there. You need to leave the crown. If you sand too far, it's just going to pop out. So you're just taking off, just a tiny bit. And don't go past the crown. Hopefully you can see that. I know it's a close-up. Now that I've taken that off of this one, this fits in, and this, I don't know if you can see through there, it should pop on quite nicely and quite easily. A little bit of squeeze, boom, it's in. So let's see if I can get these done up and get them attached, and then we'll go from there. All right, part number 2. So I've already experimented and I know that this will work. So I got that one in there. This nozzle was popped off and I put a pan head screw in there and a pan head screw in there. So those are going to work fine. On the top part, I already have my little segments pulled down. They've been shaved down just a little bit. Pan head screw in there, they're solid. Like you could hang something pretty heavy off of each of those. They're not moving anywhere. So if there's going to be a failure, it's not in the attachment there, and it's also not in the attachment here. It'll be something in the links here. I know that one will not hold this unit. They're a little bit heavier. If you can find a smaller one, you probably only need 1 or 2. But for right now, that's what's going to happen there. So the next one is on the long tube. I just have to do the same thing to this end segment. Just kind of shave a little bit off, and then that will pop in into the one on the little nozzles on the light, and this should pop in to the ones that are on the bandsaw. So let me do some more sanding and let's see if that's going to work. Oh my goodness, what a piece of spaghetti. Okay, so 3 of these things were not rigid enough. It's got a little bit of flex to it, a little bit of bounce as well. It's kind of shifting and kind of started to fall down a little bit, and I kind of wiggled it and it would sort of sink. I thought, well, that's not good if things are going to come down in front of me on the bandsaw. So I put in an extra one. Again, this is just some spaghetti wiring here just to kind of make sure it works. So it's all plumbed in. I have my temporary power supply right there. I have a switch coming for it. It's gonna be pretty cool. So I'm gonna hook it all up, wire it all up. The power supply will probably live on top of the bandsaw. I'll, Velcro it down, or some 3M tape or whatever. But let's give this a try. So I'm gonna grab the power cord here. Oh, sorry. Plug this all in. There we go. Okay. So that gives me this nice little spotlight. And I can bring it down, aim it wherever I want, keep it up out of the way. And that gives me a heck of a lot more light on the blade side. So the under cabinet stuff over here works really good for just general lighting, especially when the fence is in the down lower position for smaller stuff. But this light gives me great sort of illumination of the blade on this side. So between the two of them, it's going to be awesome. Now, the problem is that the total, the spotlight here uses something like 1.5 amps of power, and all of the 50/50 LEDs up here uses something like 4 amps of power. So that's 5.5 amps. My little power supply there is good for 5 amps. So since I think I've done a little overkill on the undermount lighting, I'm going to probably disable 1, maybe even 2 strips. Now with this spotlight being super bright as it is, I'm happy with that. So I'll probably disable a little bit of that and just use the spotlight and a little bit of the other stuff and keep the amperage down so the power supply is not working so hard. The neat thing was I was able to find I think it's a C13 plug. So on the back of the saw, it's 220 volts, a little outlet there, always on. So I'm going to have to make sure, that's why I'm going to get a switch for this. But when we look at these power supplies, they all have this common sort of plug. And pull it down. There we go. So it has this. Everybody's seen these. We know we got the little cables. We have about 100. I got about 100 of them sitting around from all the computers and stuff I bought over the years. And on the plug side, it has this configuration. Well, since 220 volt has a different plug, which are 2 flat blades, I found a C13 to a 220. That's awesome. So now I'm going to be able to plug this right in here. The switch I'm getting is a C13 to a C12 or a C13 to a C14, one of the two. So it'll be this end equivalent to this end equivalent with a switch in the middle. So I'll be able to sort of ponytail them together. And I'm going to have a switch 220 into a little simple power supply. And then that will feed both the spotlight and the undermount lighting. Hope this makes a bit of sense, guys. This is how I'm setting it up. All in, I think I got about 30 bucks worth of parts. Oh, sorry, 40 bucks worth of parts if you include the fancy plug for the back of my machine, and then the switch and the power supply. So I think for 40, maybe after shipping and some taxes, no more than 50 bucks. And I got a pretty neat little setup. So once it's all finished up and ready to go, I'll give you a tour of the final lighting on the bandsaw. Otherwise, have a great evening, guys. Time to go put the shop dog to bed and get him ready for sleeping. And he's not out here because he's just being a really bad boy lately. And he keeps eating wood and getting behind the tools and chewing on wires. So until he starts behaving, he's going to be hanging out with family while I'm tootling around in the shop. Anyways, have a good night, guys.